listening to Transcaster Radio, a podcast about trans life and all that goes along with it. You can listen to the show anywhere you enjoy podcasts, and we'd love for you to subscribe, rate, and give a review. It helps us reach more people, and we greatly appreciate it. Now, here's your host, Caden Taylor.
Hey everybody, welcome to Transcaster Radio. I have a special guest for you today, Ryan Casatta, singer, songwriter, LGBTQ activist. He's a performer, actor, writer, and motivational speaker. So let's give him a warm welcome. Hey Ryan, how are you today?
I'm great. How are you doing? Thanks for having me.
I'm fantastic. So let's start off by you telling us a little bit about yourself for those who may not know you.
Okay, cool. My name is Ryan Casatta. I'm 25 years old. I live in Los Angeles. I am a singer-songwriter. I'm an actor. I'm an activist. I've been out as FTM trans for over a decade now, and I identify as queer as well. Yeah.
Awesome. So we'll start with like your younger life, since obviously you've been out for a decade. You've been out a lot longer than I have. I wish I had realized it at that age, but I did not. So you're 25. So around 15 years old, you came out as FTM. When is that the time you realized you were trans, or had you felt like there was something different prior to that?
Yeah. When I was my whole life, like growing up, I was always called a boy by strangers. Like people just assume I was a boy, and it would be my brothers and I, and they would just say like my dad's 3 sons. So it was like very like ambiguous my entire life. So like I've been misgendered my entire life. Like if I was, a girl before I transitioned, like people were calling me a boy, and now people misgender me as a girl. But regardless, I started realizing probably around age 12 is when I realized. Age 12 is when I came out as bisexual, and then I came out as gender queer when I was like 13, and like a couple months into being 14 is when I came out as a trans guy. So
it's interesting because the topic of trans hasn't really come to the media except in demanding in the media except in the last 5 years. So how did you feel? Were you nervous or worried about coming out at that age? Because I mean, I knew 10 years ago, but it wasn't like it was something that was talked about a lot in national media.
Yeah, it wasn't talked about much, and there were very little resources. There was a couple websites when I came out. There was one place to buy a binder. It was just like, there's 5 top surgeons in the entire country to choose from, and that was it. Like, it was a very, very different time when I came out, and I came out, in about a year after I came out, I went on the Larry King live show on CNN, and I was 15 years old, and around that time, I was probably one of the first trans teenagers to be on international television portrayed in a positive way. So at the time, I had to carry the torch a little bit at that time because I didn't even know any other trans people my age. So when I went on the Larry King live show, that was when a lot of trans people connected to me, connected to each other. After that, we started having meetups in New York City. Like things just shifted because of that show. And around this time too, maybe there was like 5 to 10 trans YouTubers at the time as well. So like I would connect with them, everyone would connect with each other, and it was this thing that we like really got to see grow because there was just no resources back then.
Yeah, you're right. There weren't. Not that, I mean, there are more resources now, and the topic is definitely out there, and I think more people are getting educated. So I would have been nervous as hell if I were you going on Larry King Live, as it wasn't, there wasn't, big Laverne Coxes or big people out there trying to make a statement, like Billy Porter or stuff like that. So, I definitely would have been nervous. So I can only imagine at 15 years old how you felt at that time. Did you ever feel alone? Or I know some, even not just trans people, but other youth of the LGBT organization. There's a local LGBTQ center here that I'm on the board for.
Mm-hmm.
And I've talked to the youth, and when they find the center, they're, so elated because they feel like they have somebody else. They don't feel alone. I mean, it's one thing to be your parents or your friends to accept it, but to have others that are within your community to be around you. And since you said that you didn't even know another trans person, like, I remember the first time I met another trans person, I was like, holy cow, I'm not alone. Even though I knew I wasn't alone, it was just the fact that I actually met somebody in person that was trans. It was just like, holy crap, for the first time, I didn't really feel alone. You
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely before I went on Larry King, I felt alone, and I knew one other trans person, and that was, he was a couple years older than me at the LGBT center, and that was the only person I knew in real life. And then on YouTube, I was watching, Freshly Charles and Charles Asher and, AJ. I mean, a lot of these YouTubers, and at the time they were just documenting their transitions. And I was also reading Original Plumbing magazine. I was listening to Joe Stevens and the Clicks, and so that was the way, like, I connected myself to the community that wasn't very visible at the time.
Yeah.
But when after I went on Larry King, I got hundreds of letters from trans people all over the world. And that was like the first time in my life where I was like, wow, there's like hundreds of us, if not thousands. And now obviously we know there's way more trans people in the world. But back then that was like, wow, I'm not alone. There's all these other people that are like me.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So when I was reading about you, of course I listened to your music, but I didn't know that you actually started your activism career when you were 13.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little about the Safe Schools team that you joined.
Sure. When I was 13, I was getting severely bullied in middle school, and because of that, I was sent to the Long Island Gay and Lesbian Youth Center, and it was there that I met other LGBT people, and I joined the Safe Schools team, and they educated us, taught us how to be public speakers, and we would go to middle schools and high schools and conferences all over Long Island and the tri-state area. And this was like when I really started, my activism career. And I gave my first keynote speech when I was 13 years old. And I just kept going, like, really at that time, it was like, if you were out, it was like you had to be an activist because you constantly had to fight to be able to have any sort of space in the world at all. And like, even in my high school is where a lot of my activism really took place in the early years, because I was being bullied. I had to fight to be called the correct name. I had to fight for my name in the yearbook. I had, it was just like constant things. What bathroom was I going to use? I was in my hallway with petitions. So it was something that, like, I had to do for survival. And when I graduated high school, I won the Harvey Milk Memorial Award because I changed things in my school. And Harvey Milk actually graduated from my high school. So it was quite an honor to be able to get that. But it was like things I had to do in order to survive, but it made the path a lot easier for every other trans person that would go to my high school after me.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you say that you have activism in other areas, or do you focus on the LGBTQ community?
I definitely focus on LGBTQ, but I have been getting into more things as well. I speak a lot about drugs and alcohol, and I try to, like, raise awareness about addiction. And I'm very, like, passionate about fighting the opioid epidemic. And I've been like, I do share a lot about that. And I just, I want to just like fight for human rights and fight for survival in a peaceful way.
So you became an activist at a young age. And you were on TV shows, and you got the Harvey Milk Festival Award. But how has your activism career changed since you became famous as an artist? Because I think music is a way for us to, at least for me, it's a way for me to relax, and I read a lot from the lyrics in songs and how I interpret them into my life. And I think we all take music differently, but it's a big part of society.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
how has that affected your activism career so far?
Well, a lot of my music does have lyrics that are about social issues, so it's really been intertwined in that way. And I've been speaking and performing at high schools and colleges and conferences all around the country, and I've been able to go to all of these different places and speak to students and play my music. And like I just like intertwine the speech with the music, and I make like a little show out of it that is educational and empowering and hopefully inspiring to the people that are there.
I think your music does that personally.
Thank you.
I think, and I'm sure a lot of my listeners will think that too. I do think, I remember when Daughter came out, and I can't tell you how many times I've listened to that.
Thank you so much.
But for me, it was very impactful in my life. So,
I'm glad
I appreciate your music.
Thank you so much.
So, you've done a lot for the LGBTQ youth, but so much so for the trans youth, because I mean, just let alone just your high school. I mean, that's phenomenal. I'll be 34 in September, and I know when I was a teenager, was out as a lesbian, and that was hard enough. I can't imagine having had come out as a trans person at that time. And I grew up in a very, it's a very conservative area. So it would have been a hard fight for me. And so I give you credit. But what I'm asking is, so many youth out there look up to people like you. And so what is the one message that you have that you would want, not just the trans community, but the trans youth community to know? Or what would you want to say to them if you had them standing in front of you?
I want the trans youth to know that, one, they aren't alone, and two, that they just need to be themselves. That's all you can be in this world. And you only need to transition the way that you want to for you. You don't have to feel pressured by other people. And no matter what, no matter how you dress, no matter how you transition, no matter what your path is, you are always trans enough.
Yeah, that's a big deal. I've had people say, oh, well, it's just a phase. And I've had adult trans people, but I've had youth too come to me, and, people have said to them, people have told me I'm not trans enough. Well, to me, what is trans enough? Well, I mean, that doesn't make any sense. We all for one have our own journey, and we all have our own definition of what trans is. You don't have to be FTM or MTF to be trans. You could be non-binary or genderqueer. Or, I mean, I personally identify as a trans queer man. And so I think there's multiple ways, and there's no one way. So irritates the crap out of me when people say, well, people tell me I'm not trans enough. There is no definition. It's your way of doing it, and nor should somebody who's not trans or is trans tell you how you should go about your transition.
Yeah.
And for me, the word transition has always been a contentious word for me because society sees it as a transition. You know, you and I went from being born as a female at birth to identifying as a male. Well, to me, it was just letting myself be who I was, that I've always, known I was. So, although I say transition a lot, I don't really like the term because I didn't change who I was. I just allowed myself to be who I was.
Exactly. Yes.
So let's transition into your music a little more. When did you start singing and playing the guitar?
I started, well, I think I've been singing my entire life. And I started playing guitar when I was 6. I started writing songs when I was about 12 years old.
Wow. Did you always know you wanted to be in that, or, being a singer-songwriter, or did you want to do a different route? The only thing I can do is play the piano. I can't sing worth beans. I can sing in the shower, and that's about it. You would die if you heard my voice singing. So I always wanted to sing, but that's just not what talent I was given. So did it just kind of happen organically?
It happened pretty organically. I never was like, oh, I want to write a song. Like, I would just write songs. And to me, I thought that was like normal. And the first song I ever wrote, I was 12 years old, and I wrote it on the piano, and I was playing it, and my mom was like, who wrote that song? And I was like, me. And she was like, no, you didn't. And like, she couldn't believe that her 12-year-old kid wrote a song.
Yeah.
So to me, I was just like, what do you mean I wrote this song? Like, but I guess it is kind of weird to write songs so young, and it's something that I really do see as a gift. Like, I don't even really feel like it's me writing the songs. It's definitely a gift, and all of my songs have been a gift to me and to whoever listens.
How does your identity or the person you are affect what you write and how you express your music?
Well, I've written some songs about being trans and being queer. Not so many though. Like, most of my songs are love songs. So that's all my songs are just about being a human and having human experiences. Like, that's really what my songs are about. And they all come from some place of truth in my life, or like, they're about what I've been through or what my friends have been through, and just like random things that I found inspiring throughout along the way. Like, you never know what could be inspiration for a song. So I try to just like stay aware to everything as I'm walking through life.
Yeah. How long does it normally take you to write a song?
Sometimes, like, Daughter took me I feel like it took me like less than 10 minutes, honestly.
Oh, wow.
Some songs just like come out like that. Like, I feel like they were already like written inside of me in a way. And then some songs take me like hours to like days to finish, because they're more complex, or the lyrics need some work, and I can't think of something, and I have to wait to be inspired, and it's the whole process.
It's like writing a book.
Yeah.
Same thing. Yeah, I wouldn't be very good at that. It probably wouldn't give you a tune in the long run.
Yeah, well, you never know.
Yeah. So for those of you that don't know, Ryan has never been on hormones. Is that due to your music?
Yeah, a lot of it is because of my music. My parents made me wait until I was 18 to make the decision to go on hormones. And by the time I was 18, I had already been out for over 4 years. So I was pretty used to the way I was at that point. And then my career had already started, and I just felt like, it's right now is not the time. So I put it off. And then, as time goes by, I'm just like, I don't want to change the way I sound. And I never like think like, oh, I might sound bad, or I might sound I might not be able to sing anymore. It's that I'm like, I'll literally sound different, I'll have a different singing voice.
Yeah.
So right now it's not the time for that for me.
Yeah, people have criticized you about it publicly and have said that you're quotations not a man because you don't take testosterone. I personally disagree with this. I don't think that it matters what you put in your body. I think it's a personal decision. For me, I wanted to be on testosterone, so I chose to be, but that doesn't mean that later on down the road, I choose to not be on it. But
Mm-hmm.
how do you feel about other people criticizing you and saying that you're less than a man because you're not taking hormones?
Well, I just think, everyone should transition the way that they want to transition, and like it's live and let live in that way. And people, they just, I think the people that really want me to be on testosterone and just, keep telling me that are people that are not comfortable with themselves. And a lot of people have also like said that I'm against testosterone, which is completely not true. Like I've given several of my friends their tea shots. I've gone to parties for people going on tea, and like, I have a lot of friends that are on tea, and I've seen them change in amazing ways that they're super happy, and I've seen testosterone save people's lives. I've seen it change people's lives. So I am definitely not against tea in any way. I'm just not into it for myself right now.
Yeah. That doesn't mean that down the line you might not choose to, but it's like what I said earlier. Everybody has a different journey and everybody makes different decisions. So
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't matter. All right. So you have something coming out. I don't know when, but soon. That's exciting. That I'm actually very excited about is your memoir. How is that going?
Yeah, I'm actually, it's in a bit of a holding process right now. So I'm waiting to see what will happen, but I should know some more in a couple weeks.
Okay, awesome. Are you done writing it?
I am done writing it, but I think I might dive back in and I don't know, I feel like I've grown up a lot in the last year, so I might want to just like add some more stuff and
Yeah.
make it more insightful in some ways. So I'm working on it still, and I'm just hoping to move forward as quickly as possible, but with it's hard when you're working with more than one person and it's not completely up to me when it comes out. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm
it's
excited about it. Uh,
thank
what made you writing is hard. I do like to write.
hmm
But I find writing sometimes difficult. My ADD kicks in and I have a hard time concentrating on that. What made you decide to do a memoir and not some other book?
Yeah, well, at first I was just writing really for myself. Like I was just basically like journaling. So a lot of my like journal entries transformed into like an actual memoir. So it was something that I just like documented my transition, my life, my music, and that's really like what it is. So and then I wrote the whole thing out of order, and then I had to put it in chronological order, which is, but,
I'm sure
I
that
just
took
wrote
time.
about what I felt inspired to write about.
Yeah. Well, I think that's going to be great. For there aren't many, books like that out there, and like I said, I think people look up to you. So I think it's important that people. Where will people be able to get it? Anywhere, Amazon, anything like that? You'll have to let me know when it
Yeah, I'll
launches,
let
and
you
I'll
know.
make sure to let my listeners know so that they
Yeah,
know where
thank
to
you
get
so
it.
much.
And
Thank
you
you.
can send me a link and I'll post it to social media and on my website.
Awesome. Thank you.
So with your memoir, what do you want the reader to, I guess, take away from reading your memoir?
I definitely just like with all my works, I just want people to know that they're not alone and that no matter who you are, like it's like it's okay, it's okay to be yourself and it's great to be yourself. So I want to inspire people to be themselves.
Awesome. So one last question. for all the trans people, all the LGBTQ people out there that are struggling, that, you know, might have been the 15-year-old kid you used to be, or maybe they're 35 and just coming out, or, you know, they've been transitioning for 5 years. But for the ones that are struggling the most, what kind of advice do you have for them? What should they do to, you know, get to the position that you are? Not, I don't mean like as far as your you know, your fame and being a artist and stuff, but you have a self-acceptance of yourself and you're confident in yourself. And I think in the trans community, sometimes that lacks. We don't always have, I certainly didn't have confidence in myself at first. And, you know, I always felt like society had this idyllic version of what a man should be. And I felt like I needed to show that. And then I learned over time that, one, that wasn't the man I wanted to be. And two, I needed to be the person that I was and not try to live up to society's standards. So what kind of advice would you have for somebody that's struggling like that?
I would just say, you know, keep being yourself. And I think the longer that you're out and the longer you're living your authentic experience, the easier it gets to just be yourself and to be cool with yourself, you know? And that doesn't mean there aren't like hiccups along the way, but you know, life is just like a roller coaster and there's ups and downs with every single thing that you do. So I think, just like keep going, you know, like time is what changes things for me. So
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know if that answers the question, but
yeah, I think it does. So
cool.
Tell us where we can find you, where you'll be touring, where we can find out that you're touring, things like that. I'm excited when you come to Florida.
Thank you. You can find me at ryancasatta.com, and also my tour dates are on there.
Awesome.
In New York in June and in Los Angeles in June, and then I will be touring late August and early September.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. And there's another site that you can log into to find out to stay up to date that you posted on your social media. What website was that?
Oh yeah, you could find all my shows on Bands in Town. It's an app that you download. It's completely free. It's also a website. You could just sign up with your email. And then when I'm going to be in a town that's like within a certain radius from you, 10 miles or something, it will send you an email and tell you that I'll be there.
Awesome. I signed up for it. So
thank you.
I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome.
When you're close by, I'll go a little more than 10 miles though.
Thank you.
So, well, thank you. I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today. I know you're a busy guy. You got a lot going on today. So I appreciate it. And I'll make sure that the listeners listen to your music.
Thank you so much.
If you're okay with it, I will put one of your songs, whatever song you want, at the end of this podcast episode.
Yeah, sure. Any you want.
All right, awesome. I probably will put Daughter because that's probably right now my favorite song.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to Transcaster Radio. Be sure to visit transcasterradio.com to access the show notes and discover awesome bonus content.